Alright, Pop, so here's a short video to help you with PowerPoint and setting up a slide so you can print. So basically this here is just blank canvas. This is basically, if you open up any of the ones I sent you and delete the pictures out of, this is what you're left with. So I'm going to walk you through adding a picture, formatting the picture, adding some text, some artistic stuff to it, whatnot, to print it out. So first thing you do is you go to Insert, and you're going to grab your picture that you want to put in, and based on your version of PowerPoint, there's various methods of getting to this, but on mine you basically go to the Insert tab, and there's a thing called Picture. You click on it, and I go to my desktop. Now on my desktop I have a couple pictures to goof with. So first one, I'll just insert this as a picture of a band at our club, and so it inserts it into the PowerPoint slide. And you notice when it inserts, there's 4 or 5 little boxes around it. That means it's selected. So when you see those, that means it's selected. If it looks like this and there's no boxes, then the image is not selected. And if you click it one time with the left mouse button, then it'll reselect it. Now if you right click on, once it's selected, you'll get a drop down where you can go to size and position. And when you open that, at the top here it shows you the size. So this one's automatically sized at a 5x7. So it's 5x7. If these boxes are unchecked, like lock aspect ratio, if that's unchecked, and say you increase this height, it'll increase the height, but it's going to distort the picture because it's making the picture longer, but it's not wider, so it's not consistent. So when you want to resize to ensure the picture stays in the right perspective and aspect, you got to make sure that this box right here, it says lock aspect ratio, you got to make sure that that's checked. Then when you increase or decrease the size of one of these two factors, it will automatically adjust the whole picture. So now if I'm going up to saying 8x10, as I keep increasing this, it's increasing the width just as the same. Same with when you lower it, if you click it down to maybe like a 4x6, then you will actually not distort the image. So like that. Now this particular one's set at 5x7, which isn't 4x6. 4x6 is actually a longer aspect ratio. So if I wanted to do a 4x6 picture on this, what I would do is I'd make the width 6, and then the height's going to be a little bit bigger, but you can trim it. In the case of this particular picture, there's a lot of garbage at the bottom of it, so when you print it out, all you got to do is when you cut it out and you put it in the picture frame, just the bottom part of it, will be hidden, or you can actually cut it so the bottom part is trimmed off to exactly 4 inches. Right now it's a 1/4 inch bigger than that. But for a regular 5x7, it's correct. So that's how you get it to 5x7. Now, some other things that you could do with it is you can go into this and you can go back to Format Picture, which is at the bottom. It's a little paintbrush and a paint bucket. So you click on that, and it gives you a couple options, and one of them is line color. And basically what this means is it's going to add a line to the outside border of your picture. So say I wanted to add, like a nice color border, I could do that by just clicking a solid line and choosing a color. So say I want to add a blue. So it's going to add blue as a solid line. Then you can go to the line style, and you can change the size of the line. So by increasing this, you're actually increasing the border that's going around the picture. So if you put in a border that's, say, a 10 point, that's going to be almost a quarter of an inch. Let's say 8, probably about a quarter of an inch. So we just added a 1/4 inch blue border around the picture. So to make sure that that still prints a 5x7, you need to reduce the size of the picture by a 1/4 inch. So you come in here, and instead of 5x7, we're going to make this 4.7. So now it'll still print out with the border and still be able to fit in a 5x7 picture frame. Now another thing you can do, you can go back to Format Picture, and you can choose shadows, and there's various preset shadows in here in this top button. So if you want to add a shadow around it, you just select it and you just choose one of these buttons, and it'll actually add a shadow to the outside edge of the border. You can see this black shadows going around it. And if you want the shadow to look a little bit bigger, then you just go to the size and you just increase it, and it'll make it a little bit bigger like that. And if you want to make it darker, you go to transparency and you make the transparency less, which makes it more dark. See, by doing that, the shadow gets darker. And now you can actually put in a picture frame with a border and a shadow around it if you wanted to. So next thing is, say you want to add some kind of text on this. You go into, up to the top, go to Insert, and you have Text Box. So if you choose Text Box and you come down, it gives you this strange looking upside down cross. Well, that's basically the text symbol. So if you click anywhere on the page, it'll give you this box with a flashing cursor in it, and you could type. So this particular band was called the Road Ducks, so we're going to call this the Road Ducks. So that's the title of the band. Now you'll see there's like dotted dashes that go around the border. If you click on the border one more time, it'll make it a solid box. And when it's a solid box, that means anything inside of it you can edit. So you can come up to the top here and you can change the color of it, and you can change the size of it up or down. You can even change the type of font. So right now, if I move this onto this picture, because the text is black, you're not really going to see it. It's just going to blend right in. So what we're going to do is change the text on this. So you can come up here and we can choose whatever text color we want. So let's say we choose like a gold color. Now, if you hover over it and these 4 crosses, little arrows come on, that means you can now drag it and move it. So with your mouse, left mouse, just click on it, hold it, and you just drag it down onto the picture. And now you can see the Road Ducks. From here, we can increase the size of it just by going up to the font area up here. And the big font means increase, and the small font means decrease. So if you click on this, each time you click on it, it gets bigger. So we can increase the size of the font. You can drag it back onto the screen here. And then if you find the color just doesn't work, it's still blending in too much, then we can go and change the color again. So now we'll change it to like a white. If you don't like the type of font that it is, then you go up to the fonts here, and you choose a drop down. And if you go down and you just hover over any of the fonts, it'll automatically change the font type, and you can actually see it happening on your slideshow just by hovering over it. And once you hover over one, if you use the down arrow on your keyboard, each time you arrow down now, it'll change the font. And you can just go through until you find the font you like that works for you. Let's see here. Here we'll go with Broadway. Once you find the one, just hit enter, and then that's the font that's selected. Now with this, you can also stylize the fonts as well. You stylize these words. if you right click or left click at the end of the words and you highlight across so that they're all highlighted, when you right click, then you'll get this drop down and you go to Format Text Effects right here. When you select that, then you get a whole bunch of options like text fill, outline, and style. So one of the things I do is I usually go to text outline and we'll add an outline, and this is unlike the picture that we outlined in a border. This actually outlines the text letters. So we'll choose a solid line, and in this case we have a light blue that's auto selected, but we're going to change it to something else. We're going to change it to like a yellow, and you can see down here now there's a yellow outline on it. If you want to increase the size of the outline, you go to the next field down, Outline Style, and at the top you just increase it and it just makes the outline bigger. Or if you want to decrease it, you just hit the down arrow and it makes it less. From there we can also add a shadow to the words, and you go up to your presets and you can just do a preset, which are all these are preset. The colors and the style and everything is all preset by the computer. So you can select one and it'll actually add a shadow, and if you want to make the shadow darker, you just reduce the transparency, which will make it darker. And if you want the shadow bigger, then you just increase the size of it. And sometimes it's hard to see the shadows, especially on a busy background, but you can play with it. Typically I use stuff like that, or like this, and that basically added a slight shadow, and the shadows just make the words easier to see when they're on top of another picture. And if you want to add, say, like the date on here, you can go back up where you go into Insert at the top up here, and then insert a text box, and then we're going to type a date. So this was, I believe, July 31st, and it was 2018. And remember, you got to have a solid bar around it. It means it's selected, then you can grab it and you can move it. And you see, because it's black, it's kind of hard to see. So we're going to change the color of it. So we're going to go up here and make it white. And now you can actually see it pretty easily. And if we want to change the type of font, we can go over to the fonts here and get the drop-down menu and choose a different font just to make it more interesting. So in this case we got Chiller font. And so now if you want to see what this is going to look like, you can go to Slideshow and you can do from current slide, and that's basically what the picture is going to look like. The white is just the page, but the picture is actually the border and the shadow. And that's kind of how you add stuff, certain effects, and the more you play with, the more you'll find out. There's lots you can do. And to get out of here, you just click it again, and then it'll go back to where you're left off. Now, one of the other things is if you want to put more than one picture on a slideshow template, I can show you how to do that. And what you have to do is you have to know how to arrange them. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this stuff off of here. And then we'll bring another picture in. I'll show you how to put multiples on. So you go back up here to Insert, choose Insert, choose Picture. And this is a singer that sings at our club, Mike. That's a picture of him. So if I want to put more than one of these on here and I want to be able to arrange them, you can do two things. You know, if you want to replicate the same picture, just right click on it and hit copy, and then right click anywhere else on the page and hit this paste button right here, and it just made a duplicate of it. And then you can just move them around on the page. So if you want to do a whole bunch of little ones, you can just do copy and paste them all on here, and You can print a whole bunch of wallet size. If you wanted them to be, like 2 5x7s, then you'd have to right click on it, and you'd have to go down to size and position, and then you have to change the size of it. So this would be, let's see, this is a 6, and so it'll make a 5x6. Now the other thing is, and we'll make a copy of that. Right click, hit copy, and paste it back on the page here. Just grab it and move it. So these two will fit on the page no problem, and print out fine, just like this, because there's enough white border around it that it's not going to bleed off the page. But if this picture was like really long and it didn't fit on here, you can also move the picture around the circle. So when you click on it, you get this little green dot up here, and if you hover over it, you get this arrow that looks like a circular arrow. If you click on it and you pull to the right, it turns the picture, and you can turn it that way. And if you push the other direction, you can turn it the other way, like that. And basically all you're doing is holding the mouse button down and just turning it. And you can make interesting pictures too. If you wanted to do a collage, you could have some pictures on there that are actually that direction, and you can add another picture behind it. So for example, if you paste in another picture, let's see, insert picture, and we'll take that first one, we'll insert it in, and say we want to make this one our background, and then put Mike over top of it for some unknown reason. We could expand it, and now you can't see the picture that's behind it, but if you right click on the picture, you can hit send to back. When you click that, it pushes that picture into the background, and now Mike's in the foreground. And so now you could resize Mike a little bit by grabbing the corner and move him. So now you got kind of like a stylized picture where you have the main picture in the middle, and then you got a background. Just some things you can do like that. Anyways, that's pretty much it from simple tutorial on how to use it. And once you have it in here, once you get the picture in here, you're just going to print, and then you got to select your printer in this spot here. I don't know why, but almost always Microsoft Outlook wants to print to a PDF, so you got to make sure that you're able to hit the drop down and choose your printer. Otherwise all it's going to do is print a PDF file, and it's not going to send it to your printer. And then anytime you want to get back from here, you just go to the home, and that takes you up here. This over here is actually the sorter. So if you had multiple slides in here, you would see them down the side. But most of the time, if you're just doing pictures, this is kind of like not necessary. If you hit the X up here, it actually closes it out, and then you're just at the regular screenshot. I think that's about it. I hope this helps, and you can call me anytime and I can give you a hand. All right? Thanks, Pop. Love you.